Welcome to Elevating Your Life, where each episode is dedicated to sharing valuable information, useful techniques, and empowering inspiration so that you can experience personal and physical abundance. Success and happiness are within your reach. I am your go-to gal who will help you find your happiness triggers and a true elevated life. I am your host, Paula Vail. Hello, everyone. Welcome. I am sharing with you today an awesome gentleman. This is his second recording with me. We had so much fun, and it was so fantastic. The first show, we just had to do another show. The response of his show, everyone that I've shared it with has just loved it. So I have to welcome back again Peter Cutler. He is a Zen monk, artist, healer, and spiritual teacher located in Sedona, Arizona. And I'm just so happy to have you on the show again, Peter. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Paula. Yeah, it's wonderful to be here with you. Your energy is wonderful. It's just blooming.
Thank you, my energy brother. I love it. I love it. We were chatting a bit before we began, and today's show is just going to be so amazing. Peter's going to first off talk about perspectives. Okay, what would you like to share with us, Peter, about that?
The other day, a woman contacted me and wanted to do a session with me. And she said that for weeks she'd been in what she called an eagle eye perspective, meaning that she's looking sort of this very broad perspective and seeing everything within this container, sort of like you're soaring way up in the sky and you see the whole planet and everything that's going on in it. And then she felt all of a sudden like sucked into this one detail of this one person and this one problem that she was having with this person, and she lost the eagle perspective, this broad perspective. And that's something, I mean, it's something that needs to happen because something needs to be worked with. That's why her energy and her attention got focused down there. But when you lose that overall perspective, your mind just spins from one thing to another. It just jumps from one thing to another, and you don't really understand the big picture. You can't see the big picture anymore. When you see the big picture, you understand how everything fits together. You just do. It's not like you're thinking it, or it's not your knowledge. You just, from this perspective, you see how everything fits together. So you're not getting pulled one way or another by one thing, and you see how this story happens. This person did something that she thought was not right to do, but you see how it comes from, you know, the suffering that they're going through, and the issues that they're going through, and the problems that they're going through, and how it relates to the other people. You can just see the big picture of it and how it relates to her and what her part in it is. All that can be seen. So my advice was like, you don't want to lose that big perspective, because from that big perspective, you can come down to the individual things that are happening. It's like not seeing the forest for the trees. You're so focused on one tree that you forget that that's part of a forest, that there's many other trees, and everything that happens in the life of this tree is part of this forest. You know, trees are born and they die just like humans do. All of this happens in this big picture. When you're only focusing on the tree, if something happens to that tree or the tree starts dying, then you go into a panic, because your focus is so much on that tree. That's all you know. You don't see the big picture anymore.
Yeah,
that's so important to be able to see the big picture and stay with the big picture, because when you're with the big picture, you can still see each individual tree. You can still bring your attention down to each individual tree, but you don't want to let your consciousness lose the fact that it is a forest. You don't want to let your consciousness lose the fact that it's a planet, and there's human species and other species, and there's billions of people on this planet. You don't want to lose that perspective, because from there you can see how everything fits together. Yes. Right? You get lost when you zoom in so much that you forget that it is a planet.
Almost like, would you say it's like if you're looking at the whole forest and you can see that one tree, but by being open to the whole forest, it's like your mind is expanded.
Yeah, exactly. Your consciousness is expanded. Now, our attention, consciousness is always the big picture. I mean, it's a bigger picture than eagle eye view either. We're seeing more than the planet. Our consciousness awareness is aware of everything. Throughout all the universes, awareness is always aware of everything. So it's an enormously wide, expanded thing. And it's always like that. But our attention is very flexible. You know, it can go all the way out from this very wide perspective down to the single tree, down to a molecule in that single tree. It's very, very flexible, and it can instantly do that, right? That's where our attention is. So we need to have an ability to be aware that when our attention is shifting all over the place, there's still this big perspective, because that's our awareness. That's our true nature. That's our true being, is this wide, wide perspective. I wanted to offer a little, a meditation, you know, a short guided meditation too. This is, it's a Tibetan practice and it's considered one of the most advanced meditation practices, but it's also the simplest practice that there is. The reason that it's advanced is because the practices are to get people willing to do something so simple, actually. You know, it's called blue sky meditation. And it's very simple. If you just close your eyes for a moment and imagine there's an infinite blue sky, it's boundless. There's no end or beginning to it. It's infinite blue sky. We've all seen blue skies when there's no clouds. So this is an infinite blue sky. And clouds do come in front of it, right? But they don't affect the blue sky, right? The blue sky stays the blue sky. Even if so many clouds come in front of it, as you probably have seen in Washington, that the sky looks white, it's just clouds, but still the blue sky is behind it all the time. Nothing has really changed. The blue sky is still there, even if we can't see it. So this blue sky is sort of like our awareness. And every thought that comes up just comes and goes, really. It just comes and goes, right? Each thought that comes, it also goes. No thought just stays. Right? We haven't had a thought that's lasted for even a week, you know, or even a day. Thoughts are coming and going all the time, like clouds in a blue sky. Right? So these thoughts just come and go and come and go. And if our attention gets so focused on one of these clouds, we're no longer aware that there's a blue sky. But there is a blue sky. The blue sky is always there. And the blue sky is unaffected by these thoughts, by these clouds, completely unaffected by them. Yet we are, right? We get very focused on one cloud and one thought, and we believe this thought, and we get very affected by it. Good or bad, we're very affected by it. But the sky of awareness is not affected by it. It still remains absolutely pure, just as it's always been. Nothing has ever affected it. And this infinite blue sky is infinite. It's not my blue sky. It's not my attention or your blue sky or your awareness. It's just awareness. It's always here, and yet it is what we are. We're not separate from this infinite awareness. This infinite awareness is the unity and oneness of all life. Right? It's the unity and oneness of all life. And these clouds and things appear in it. Some of these clouds are not just thoughts, but people, planets, solar systems, universes. All of this appears in the blue sky. And the blue sky is big enough to contain all of it. Undisturbed by all of it. The Big Bang, right? Before there was anything, the blue sky was here. After the Big Bang, all the things that have happened since then, the blue sky was there for all of it and not separate from any of it. It not only holds everything and is sort of like a container for everything, but it is everything. Its awareness understands everything from the inside of everything, because nothing is separate from this. we talked a little earlier about energy and the energy of a tree. I was talking about Muir Woods in California, Northern California, and there are redwood trees there. Hopefully they're still there. I haven't been there in years, but these redwood trees are enormous, and they're as tall as skyscrapers. They just go up forever. And they've been there for thousands of years, thousands of years. And in those thousands of years, each of those years, an energy of that year, of that time, of that day, remains in the tree, just as it does in us, in our life. You know, the energy of all these things is still within us. And the energy of the tree is still within us. So when we're with the tree, if we're sensitive to it, if we're sensitive to energy, as you are, doing Reiki, sensitive to energy, you can feel the energy of the tree. And it's an amazing thing because these trees are thousands of years old. So now you're feeling the energy of something that's thousands of years old, 1,000-year-old energy. And it's an amazing thing to feel that, because as someone that's only, 71 years old, when I'm in a situation where something is much older than that, like Sedona with the rocks here, you can feel the energy of these rocks, and they're much older than 70 years, much older than 70 years. And you can feel that energy in this body that's only 71 years old. You can feel thousands of years, that energy. And that's what we would call a mystical experience, because it's such a profound experience, to feel energy for all that time. But because awareness contains everything, and because we're not separate from awareness, we can do that. Because we are this awareness. And these thousands of years old trees and these even older rocks and mountains, they're just something else that's in this vast field of awareness. They're another cloud, really. Awareness is much older than that. And so are we. Because really, this is our nature. This infinite, boundless space is our nature. It's a wonderful thing to realize this, because often when we're not aware of our nature, when we're focused on the tree, when we're focused on the one tree out of the forest, the one person out of the billions of people on the planet, and me, me being this one person focused on this, we get this idea that we exist inside this body. And that's it, not outside it, just inside it. So where I end is the skin. After the skin, I'm not there, I'm not where you are in Washington. I'm not even filling this room. I'm only here, only in this body. It's a very limited way of experiencing a body, a very dense way of experiencing who we are. In fact, we are this limitless, boundless space, which is also in the body too, but it's everywhere outside the body as well. If it weren't, we couldn't feel the energy of a tree or a rock or another person, right? When we're with another person, if they're smiling and saying that they're having a wonderful day, but we feel this energy is not really that there's some deep suffering that they're going through, we feel that, right? We can feel that in them because we're not really separate. We are really everywhere. We are this great expanse. And also we're in the body too. It's not either or.
Yes, I love that, Peter.
Yeah.
That is so true.
Yeah, from doing Reiki. Reiki is a wonderful practice because working with energy, well, it's not something that we can see, really, not with the regular eyes. I mean, sometimes we can. I can see energy, and some people do see it. But you're not seeing it with your normal physical eyes. It's another way of seeing. It's like when we see, in Zen, we call suchness, or sometimes I call seeing with the eyes of God. It's like you see the physical forms of everything, but you also see something else, but it's not the same type of seeing. You know, you see the oneness of everything. Somehow you see everything. It's an amazing experience to have, seeing with the eyes of God or seeing suchness. It's when it happens, everything, you see details in things with your regular eyes that you never saw before, and everything looks so beautiful, just so unbelievably beautiful. It's quite an emotional experience, because the joy of seeing that is almost overwhelming, to see things in that beauty. But you see everything that way. Wherever you look, it's just as beautiful. It doesn't matter what it is. It has no difference to what you're looking at. Everything you see, the beauty just is overwhelming to you. You know, that's seeing that. So you're seeing two things at once. And this is like the big perspective and coming down to the tree. It's like if you hold the big perspective of vast awareness and you deal with a person, a tree, you know, an object, making your dinner, you know, you deal with these things, but don't lose this. You're still seeing in both ways.
Yes.
And seeing in this big perspective, seeing through with the eyes of God or suchness, is also like this, because you're seeing everything. You realize whatever you're looking at, that's everything. Yeah. You know, everything you look at is actually everything. Whatever you look at a tree, and it's also the universe and the sun and the planets and people and, yes, and everything that exists. And that is experienced as overwhelming beauty, because it's true. You know, it's like your moment of seeing truth, and it's, whoa.
Yeah, whoa is a perfect description. You're making me think of a memory. I have to share it. When I was in Machu Picchu 14 years ago, where I got my master Reiki training. Anyway, I was meditating at Machu Picchu, and I literally could feel the energy of, you know, the angels, the guides. I could just feel, it was like I was up in those clouds. I've never forgotten it. And it was while I was sitting there meditating, a condor came down and flew right over us. I mean, and you can feel that in Sedona, or like, you know, as we were chatting, so many places around the earth, but even in your yard with your tree. Peter, it really is amazing how we can feel outside of our body, isn't it?
Yeah, of course we are. What we're feeling is reality. So you're feeling the angels and guides and all that, but that's you. All of that is you. You are those other beings, those formless beings, and you are the energy. This is why you can work with energy, because you are it. Why would you not be able to do that? Why would you not know what people were feeling and thinking, and deep memories of them? That, from doing healing, that was a great lesson for me, because I knew I'm not, you know, like a psychic or have anything like this. And yet I could feel people's memories. I could see things that happened to people, you know, when they were like 12 years old, that affected their life now, that they needed to release in order to heal from a physical illness. It just came to me, you know, because I'm not separate from them. That's the only explanation for it. Because, you know, to think like, well, I've got this great power, now I can do this and that. No, it isn't that. I just let go of the idea of being separate for a moment. I surrendered that belief. And as soon as I surrendered that belief that was holding me in as this separate body, holding me into this idea, which most people have, this conditioned idea, which doesn't let them feel all the rest of it, everything else that's here, it cuts that off. Suddenly we're just in here, and that's it. And the whole rest of the world is something outside of us, not available to us, not what we are. It's separate from what we are, right? That's not so. Yeah. When we let go of that, suddenly we do have these abilities to do things, which are, of course we do.
Yes.
Of course we do. And of course everyone does.
Everyone does. Everyone can open up to that, Peter. Oh my gosh. And, you know, that's just exciting to realize that. You know, for everyone watching, you know, we are all just connected. It's really exciting, and I'm happy to be connected with everyone. I love it.
And it's something we have to feel, you know? And Paula, I mean, you feel it. I can feel that you feel it. I feel that your energy, right? So you feel that. It has to be felt. It's not something that we can understand with our mind, no matter how much we try. You know, we think we understand what non-duality is, but it's not something you can understand. You can feel it. You know, when you were up in Machu Picchu, you were feeling non-duality. You were feeling reality, you know, and it's amazing. And it feels so good, which is a beautiful thing too, because reality feels good. When we open to reality, we feel really good. And the more we open to it, the better we feel. So it's built into us to wake up. It's built into us to that thing. And the more contracted we feel, the more limited we feel, the more as a separate person, separate from other things we feel, the worse we feel.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's suffering. Suffering, the worst suffering is to feel that it's all about me. It's all about this little me.
Yeah.
That's the worst suffering that anybody can feel, right? It's what I do if I feel physically sick, like the flu or something coming on. It reminds me to do a Tibetan practice called Tonglen. And in the beginning, you know, when we feel sick, it's like, oh, I'm so miserable. My head hurts, and you know, I'm like really tired, and I have things to do, and I'm so weak, I don't even think I can walk, and it's, you know, it aches, and my throat hurts, and it's all about me, right? It's all about me and my back, and we feel miserable. And when we do Tonglen, it just reminds us of reality. Is it likely that out of, like, you know, 7 billion people, or however many people there are on the earth, somebody is feeling the flu at this exact same moment? Maybe thousands, maybe millions are actually feeling this, and some are feeling much worse. Obviously, yes. Mm-hmm. So we put our attention there, and we invite their suffering into us, into our heart, and we send out healing to them. And we keep doing that, and we bring more in, and we go, well, yes, this is all people with the flu. Already we start feeling much better when we do that. And then we say, are people suffering in any other way? I mean, could a mother have lost a child and suffering from that? Could someone be dying, like, alone and in a hospital bed and in great pain? Yes, bring that suffering in too, and send healing to them. And then what about other species? And then
I was just going to say
the other species too. So suddenly the entire, all species, the whole world, you're bringing that into you. And the more you do, the more connected and one you feel. And you're using the flu to remind you to do that, because you know that that's true. Many people are feeling just as you are with that flu. You can't deny that. And so that's sort of a bridge to do that. And then for me, every time I've done this, you know, then I bring my attention back to myself. It's totally not on myself the whole rest of that time. And I look back and say, well, how is this body doing? And there's no flu anymore. Yeah. You know, but that's not the important thing. The important part is the feeling of oneness and connection with all species. That feels so wonderful. It wouldn't matter whether the flu was there, and even worse, right? Because that feels so good to feel one. Yes.
We can connect with the animals. I send long distance Reiki to the entire planet's animal kingdom, and I have felt so many things. With just a couple minutes left in the show, will you share your information if anyone wants to learn more about you, and what last words you want to leave with us today, Peter?
Oh, okay, sure. Yeah. My website is enlightenment.com, like enlightenment, but instead of en, it's just n, and then a hyphen, and then enlightenment.com. So there's a lot of stuff on there to find out about. I have Facebook pages and things like that, but I think everything can be found from that website, n-enlightenment.com. I feel this COVID-19 coronavirus that we're going through, I feel, is a great opportunity for people to wake up. You know, I think it's a wonderful opportunity for people to wake up and be free of all suffering, right? Because when you understand the blue sky, not as a mental understanding, but when you feel it, when you feel your expanded consciousness, when you feel what you are far beyond this body, as you do, Paula, when you're doing Reiki for sending it to the world, sending it to other species, sending it to this, you just expands your consciousness because you are not separate from them. So when you're purposely doing that, your limited consciousness of me, just Paula, is growing and growing and growing and growing to the reality that you're not separate. And so it feels wonderful. It just feels better and better to do that. And when we're aware of this, the infinite sky of what we are, the infinite, unlimited, boundless space of what we are, and that everything is contained in what we are, including this body. This body is in this. It's not what we think I'm in here. It's not, no, the body is in here. The body is in this great container that contains everything. So doing Tonglen and sending Reiki as you do, Paula, is a wonderful way of turning your attention to reality, right? We don't know that we're doing that. We're doing that because our heart says, I want to help, right? Which is the natural feeling of this. This always wants to help because nothing is separate from it. So it's constantly in service because it's in service to itself. If this body helps another body, it's helping itself. If it hurts another body, it's harming itself because it's all contained in this, right? And this is why we can understand, this is the big picture.
Yes.
That makes sense. It makes everything make sense. It makes the whole little puzzle pieces all come together.
Yes. Yes. Oh, Peter, thank you so much. This has been so amazing and so fantastic.
Thank you, Paula.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. We'll have to get together again because your messages are so fantastic. I love it.
Yeah. But it just comes spontaneously from this moment, from this everything happening in this great container. There's a lot. As you know.
Yay
Thank
to
you,
that. Oh, thank you. Love, hugs, and blessings, Peter. Everyone out there, love, hugs, and blessings. Thank you for joining us.